Great tasting homemade ice cream deserves an equally worthy vessel. So rather than go out and purchase ready-made sugar cones, why not find out how much better our homemade version can be? Now, to get evenly sized sugar cones, which are made from evenly sized sugar cookies, we need to think of this recipe as 1 part cooking and 1 part craft class. So first, we need to make a cookie template. You're going to need a Sharpie, a sheet of parchment, and a 5-inch circle. And the lid of an oatmeal package works great. Trace 4 5-inch circles on the parchment, then place it on a baking sheet. Top the paper with a non-stick silicone baking mat. You should be able to see the circles through the mat. Now, we're not out of the craft corner yet. We've got to make a mold to shape our cones. So cut a 10-inch circle from a sheet of poster board, and then cut that circle into quarters. Bring the straight sides of each quarter circle together and slightly overlap them to make a cone. Now be sure to tape the seam to secure it tightly. Cover each cone with aluminum foil, keeping the foil as smooth as possible, and then spray with vegetable oil spray. This is going to help release the cones a little later from the molds. Next, to make the batter, we're going to whisk 5 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup packed dark brown sugar, and 1 large egg together until smooth. Whisk in 1/4 cup whole milk, 2 tablespoons of melted and cooled unsalted butter, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Finally, whisk in 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour and combine until the batter is perfectly smooth. Now, the batter can be made up to this point and stored in the fridge for up to 5 days. You do want to let it warm up to room temperature before baking. Now, to bake the cones, drop 1½ tablespoons of batter in the center of each circle on your baking sheet. Use an offset spatula to spread the batter out to that 5-inch circle. And this is where making that template is really going to pay off. Bake the cookies on the middle rack of a 325-degree oven, rotating the sheet halfway through baking until those cookies are golden brown, about 14 to 16 minutes. Now, for this next step, you're going to need to work quickly. Use a metal spatula to lift the edge of the cookie onto the mold. Place one of the prepared molds off the center of a cookie so that the tip of the mold is about 1/4 inch from the cookie's edge, and then tightly roll the cookie around the mold to form a cone. Press firmly on the outside seam of the cone to seal, and then stand the cone, still on its mold, upside down on a wire rack. Then you can repeat with the remaining cookies. Now, you may find that the first cookie or two is easy to roll, but as they cool down on their sheet pan, they become a bit tougher to form around the cone. And that's no problem. Just return the firmed up cookies back to the oven and let them resoften in there for about a minute. After about 10 minutes, the cones should be completely cooled and firm enough to remove from the molds. They might feel a little stuck at first, but just use gentle hand to loosen and remove the cones. Keep in mind, though, any broken cones are to be eaten immediately by the cook. Repeat spreading, baking, and shaping the remaining batter on a clean and cooled baking mat and sheet. But you can reuse the parchment and your crafty little molds.